Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. 2021 was a pretty good year for video games. I wouldn't say it was spectacular like 2017, but there were a ton of lesser known games that got a great entry in their respected franchises. There were several games that got a sequel after many years of drought. 2021 was a year where there were some heavy hitters, but there were even more hidden gems. Honestly, I found myself between a rock and a hard place because, on one hand, there were so many great games that came out, and unfortunately I wasn't able to play every single game that came out. So if I didn't put your favorite game on the list, it's either A, I haven't completed it / played it, or B, I just didn't like it. Also, I didn't include any remasters or ports, so these are all new games that came out this year. No Skyward Sword HD, no Mario 3D World, none of that. There is one exception on this list, sort of. It borders the line a bit, but I believe that it's a new game overall, and I think when you see the game, you'll know what I'm talking about. So with that all the way, let's get into my favorite games of 2021. Looking back throughout the year, I found out that I played through quite a bit of Metroidvanias, and Axiom Verge 2 managed to be one of the more standout Metroidvanias of this year. Its take on the 2D exploration genre is really interesting, as it introduces elements like hacking enemies and having two worlds that intertwine, one being the normal world and the other being this cyberspace realm. I did have some issues with this game that left me conflicted about the overall package. Hacking enemies is cool on paper, but I didn't really find myself doing it much. I took a more barbaric approach to the enemies by just whacking them upside the head. Also, there's only like one boss battle, and there are other bigger enemies in the world, sure, but they had no real strategy to them. They didn't really feel like boss battles, they just felt like big enemies. The only boss battle that felt like an actual boss battle was the last boss battle. I don't know, I felt like the hacking ability could have been implemented more to these bigger enemies. That way, you're forced to use these hacking abilities to take down like their arms or something, or just immobilize them in some way. But that didn't really happen, which is very unfortunate. I had a good time overall, but there are some flaws that you're gonna have to look past. Pokemon Snap is such a unique game that I'm shocked that it got a sequel 20 years later in the form of New Pokemon Snap. What a gorgeous game this is, with the Pokemon looking better than ever before. I mean, come on, look at this detail. The gameplay has been expanded upon from the previous game, with more routes and areas that feature new generations of Pokemon. And while I haven't found my boy Trico yet, there's a bunch of fan favorites in here. The replayability in this game is very strong, and it's encouraged so that you can capture them all. In photos, of course. The one big complaint I have with this game is the progression. Moving on to a new area can take a while sometimes. Sometimes you're just stuck in one area and you're just not able to progress, and the game doesn't really do a very good job at telling you how to progress, or kind of showing you a way to progress. You kind of just have to stick with it, go back in the area, try it at night or in the daytime, and kind of just keep going with some areas, and then new areas will unlock. Other than that, New Pokemon Snap is a game that you'll either really enjoy or just not really be into, which is fine, because it's not a game for everyone. But man, it is a really unique game. Eastward is a mixed bag, to be honest. I thought for sure this would be up there at like 2 or 3, but the more I think about it, the less I think of the game. The highs are really high, but there are some definite lows. And let me go ahead and start with the latter. There are some major pacing issues in the middle of the game. They were such a slog to get through. There are just certain chapters that would just completely halt the story and just go on do this weird side quest or whatever. It's very baffling. I wish this game had a more focused story. It does at the beginning and it kind of does at the end, but in the middle there it kind of gets lost for a bit, trying to make up for it in gameplay, but the story itself just didn't really hook me in the middle too much. The characters are lovable, but the story is just very convoluted. The main thread is teased throughout the game, but it doesn't really flesh out that particular character more. It's a neat mystery at first, but they don't do enough with the outcome. However, with that said, the highs are still high. The pixel art style is some of the best that I've ever seen in a game. The lighting and the details in the environments are next level. The beginning of the game is excellent at setting up this mysterious world, not really explaining everything, but just giving you enough information to keep you going. It does a great job at introducing new characters and certain story elements that just make you want to keep playing the game. Also, Earthborn is a fantastic minigame that I was so into originally, until I realized it was a timed game, and that made me really sad, so let's not get into that. Overall, Eastward is a good game with some unfortunate shortcomings that bring the experience down a peg the more I think about it. That said, I'm excited for what the studio has in store next. Starting off the year with a retro-inspired bang, Cyber Shadow was an absolute delight with a beautiful art style, precise movement, and a difficult challenge to boot. Just being able to zip across the screen, killing enemies as fast as you can, is such a treat, especially when the controls feel this good. The gameplay harkens back to games like Ninja Gaiden, back on the NES. Tough as nails, 2D action platformer. Cyber Shadow has managed to stick with me throughout the year, and for good reasons. Honestly, if you are interested in retro-inspired games, then you must give Cyber Shadow a shot. It's so worth it. Mario Party Superstars, baby, let's go! This game is absolutely worthy of being on this list, are you kidding me? A great return to form for the series with updated visuals for old Mario Party boards and minigames. The boards are from Mario Party 1 through 3, and the minigames are found throughout the series. Except for Mario Party DS, I don't think they actually brought a minigame from Mario Party DS. That's unfortunate. But besides that, they have 5 boards, which is a pretty decent start. But honestly, with a game like this, I just want more. More classic boards, more minigames, and more characters because yikes, this roster is small. But other than those minor gripes, this is a great Mario Party game, and it features a multitude of options to better customize your game, which is a chef's kiss. Death's Door was a nice surprise for me. It got me hooked in its gameplay, because for those that don't know, it's basically a Zelda-like game, with dungeons and puzzles for you to solve. There are some things that set it apart, of course, like the art style and the difficulty. This is a pretty hard game and you will be dying pretty often. I played Death's Door on the Switch, which is a great version, don't get me wrong, but man, playing this on a PS4 or Xbox One would have made it even better with a better frame rate and visuals. It's just so fun to explore this world and collect weapons and upgrades. It's a fun time that I recommend to those looking for a nice Zelda-like adventure. Halo Infinite is some of the most fun I've had with a Halo game in a long time. The campaign is set up in an open world, with waypoints to follow and strongholds to take over. It's pretty fun, honestly, adding something new while keeping the gameplay elements familiar to older fans. I would like the open world itself to feature different biomes because right now there is not a lot of variation. You know, stuff like snow biome or having a desert biome, something to just shake things up in terms of the landscape, because right now it's just grasslands and forests, which, I mean, I say forests with quotes because it's just grasslands with trees sprinkled throughout. It's kind of boring in that sense. It makes every area look the same, and that can get boring really quick. Also, more customization for Chief would have been greatly appreciated. On the multiplayer side of things, you have classic modes with some new ones to shake things up. I love the arena maps in particular because they are so distinct from one another. There's one that takes place in the streets and you have all these different buildings, and one has several arcade machines and one has a bar, and that map in particular is so cool. The bigger maps are okay, but they lack that variety which the arena maps have, which is a shame, honestly. Again, adding different biomes would really help this out. Having a map that has snow and stuff on it would really just add variety to these maps. Also, there's no forge at the moment, which is a baffling omission. because that was such a great feature. Just like going through the campaign with a friend, which is also not included at the time of this recording, which is just so weird to me. Those critiques aside, the multiplayer is a blast, and I love doing the daily challenges and playing in these special events that come up every once in a while. It's the most fun I've had in Halo multiplayer since Halo 3. It's just so good. I just want more maps and features to be added later down the line, which to be fair will probably happen eventually. On the campaign side of things, I'm a little disappointed overall with it. I love the open areas, but I wish each area didn't feel the same. The interiors feel the same for each interior section. And the open world itself, there's not a lot of distinct locations. It's just this generic alien twang mixed in with this grassy landscape. Then adding more upgrades and customization or something. Maybe a base building mechanic would have been great to have in this setting, but other than that, the campaign can be really fun. Oh, also, the grapple hook is the best inclusion in a Halo game since the sprint mechanic. It's just so fun zipping around the place. It's fantastic. I love it. 10 out of 10 inclusion. I'm not the biggest Ratchet Clank fan, but my goodness is Rift Apart fantastic. It stands out as the best showcase of what the PS5 is capable of. I'm shocked how well this game runs with all the particles and dimensional rifts opening up. It's incredible. An excellent adventure for those who are lucky enough to find a PS5. And for those who haven't found a PS5 yet, my heart goes out to you. It's so hard to find one right now. But if you do manage to actually get one, I highly recommend this incredible adventure that has lovable characters and excellent gameplay. Normally I wouldn't do honorable mentions, but with these couple games, yeah, I'm going to make an exception this time around. Psychonauts 2 is one that I played briefly. I played the first mission and I just got to the hub world, it seems like, and it's honestly a really charming and fun game. The powers and stuff are just so creative, and while I don't really enjoy the character designs and the environmental designs, just in the art style, it's just not my favorite art style, but it definitely is one that stands out, and it works for a game like this. But this is definitely a game that I need to play through to the end. So maybe stay tuned for an upcoming review, who knows, maybe, not promising anything. Up next is Kena Bridge of Spirits, which I've been playing this one the most, and I'm really enjoying this one. People describe the gameplay of this game as like playing an old PS2 game. And while I can see the similarities, and I kind of agree with some of it, man is this game beautiful. Holy crap. Yeah, it plays and in some aspects it feels kind of PlayStation 2, not in a bad way in a sense. It really feels familiar to play, if that makes any sense. The way you navigate areas and stuff, it's not exactly open world, it's like open sections. You explore linear paths, and it's open in the sense that you can go from one place to another. It's not very open in a sense, it's more linear, which I am very okay with, especially just how much detail is put into this world. While I wish the main hub of the game was more lively in terms of just having people there, and I haven't played too far into it, but I wish there was more going on in the world outside of enemies and beautiful landscapes, which there are beautiful environments in this game. But this is another game that I'm putting on my backlog, and hopefully eventually I can review it because it's a really fun game. I just started like really getting into it. I hit a certain point where I'm like, okay, I really like this game now. At first I wasn't too sure on it because of how it played, and there's just certain little minor things that I just wasn't into. But I'm a huge fan of the studio behind this, Ember Labs, which for those who don't know, they worked on the Majora's Mask animation movie on YouTube, which you can check out right now. Hopefully I remember to leave a link down below for that video because it is an amazing video. Basically, they're an animation team, and this is their first video game project, and that alone has me excited for what's to come after this game because I'm having a good time with it now, And you know, I have some issues with it, but this is their first outing. I'm so excited to what they have in store next. This game is the complete package. Excellent mobility, great art direction, tightly paced, and above all else, extremely fun to play. That's right, it's Metroid Dread. After being brought back from the dead, 2D Metroid makes a triumphant return to form in this brand new adventure. I just got into Metroidvanias in the past couple years, with releases like Hollow Knight and Ori. But this is the series that started it all, and Metroid Dread is one of the best Metroidvanias. I think the best aspect of this game is the movement and animations. You feel so agile going through these corridors, killing enemies left and right. Getting upgrades is so satisfying, especially when one of the upgrades is a dash move. This makes the game feel so quick and snappy. Each upgrade is a blast to use. The boss battles are so memorable and challenging. There's actually a way for you to avoid getting hit in each one, but you have to learn the boss's patterns in order to pull it off. Metroid Dread is also paced very well. There wasn't a lot of moments where the game slowed down. It all flowed seamlessly from one area to the next. For me, Metroid Dread is the best game of 2021. Ratchet Clank came close, but Metroid is just a solid package overall. It's one of those games where you just want to go back and play it all over again. 2021 was a great year for video games. There were some hidden gems in here that I was not expecting. All these games were great, and there were more that I didn't even get the chance to play through or finish, so that's a yikes. Hopefully I can get to those titles eventually. But please let me know down below what your favorite games of 2021 is. Were they games that actually released in 2021, or were there games that didn't release in 2021 but you played them last year? Also, be sure to subscribe for more weekly videos such as this, with some reviews sprinkled throughout. Thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. God bless.